Nigeria today in history. Thursday, December 17, 1942. General Muhammadu Buhari, 7th head of state of Nigeria, December 1983 to August 1985, was born in Daura, Katsina State. And Wednesday, December 17, 1941, Sugar Wilberforce Okadibu, academic and politician, was born in Obunike, Oyi, Anambra State. He was Senate President 1999 to 2000, December 17, 1941 to September 25, 2003. Muhammadu Buhari, born December 17, 1942, Daura, Nigeria, is a Nigerian military leader and politician who served as Nigeria's head of state in 1984 to 1985 and later as a democratically elected president in 2015 to 2023. Education and military service. Educated largely in Katsina, Buhari took military training in Kaduna as well as in Great Britain, India and the United States. He was involved in the military coup that ousted Yakubu Gowon in 1975 and was appointed military governor of Northeastern State, now Borno, that same year. He was appointed Federal Commissioner for Petroleum Resources by General Olusegun Obasanjo, who became military head of state when Gowon's successor, Murtala Mohammed, was assassinated in 1976. By 1977, Buhari had become the military secretary at Supreme Military Headquarters, which was the seat of government. By September 1979, he had returned to regular army duties and commanded a division based in Kaduna. Although civilian government had returned to Nigeria in 1979 and the election of Shehu Shagari, dissatisfaction with dismal economic conditions and what the military perceived as corrupt politicians led to another military coup on December 31, 1983, and Buhari was chosen unanimously to be the new head of state. Military head of state. Many of the economic problems that had existed under Shagari administration also plagued the Buhari regime, and Buhari instituted austerity measures. He took a tough stance on corruption. During his tenure, hundreds of politicians and business officials were tried and convicted or awaited trial on corruption-related charges. His regime launched the War Against Indiscipline, a program which sought to promote positive values in Nigerian society, although authoritarian methods were sometimes used in the program's implementation. In an effort to stop dissent against his policies, Buhari instituted restrictions on the press, political freedoms, and trade unionists. Although many Nigerian citizens had initially welcomed Buhari's efforts to root out corruption and improve societal values, the repressive measures employed by his regime against a backdrop of continuing economic troubles led to discontent. By August 1985, even the military had had enough, and on August 27, Major General Ibrahim Babangida took control of the government. Buhari was detained in Benin City but was released at the end of 1988. Political aspirations. In 2003, Buhari ran for president and was defeated by the incumbent Olusegun Obasanjo of the People's Democratic Party (PDP). Buhari ran again in 2007 but was defeated by the PDP's candidate Umaru Yar'Adua in an election that was strongly criticized by international observers as being marred by voting irregularities. Buhari also stood in the 2011 presidential election, which was praised for largely being transparent, free and fair, but he again lost to PDP's candidate, incumbent Goodluck Jonathan. In 2014, the All Progressive Congress (APC) party nominated Buhari to stand as his candidate in the 2015 presidential election. His reputation for being incorruptible and his military background made him an attractive candidate whom many Nigerians hoped might be able to more effectively handle the threat posed by the Islamic militant Boko Haram, whose violent acts have terrorized parts of the country in recent years. The March 28 presidential election had 14 candidates, although the real contest was seen as being between Buhari and Jonathan, who was again the PDP's candidate. In what was Nigeria's most closest fourth election ever, Buhari garnered the most votes, some 2.5 million more than Jonathan, his closest competitor, and was declared the winner. His win marked the first time that the incumbent president had been defeated in Nigeria. Buhari was inaugurated in May 29, 2015. Presidency. Progress under Buhari was mixed. His presidency had a rough start, with the country falling into recession in 2016, in part because of declining revenue from oil sales. By 2018, there was evidence of some economic recovery from the recession, although many Nigerians were still living in extreme poverty. The struggle with Boko Haram factions continued, while the military initially experienced success in on curbing the groups, the militant bounced back and attacks escalated. Furthermore, Buhari's government faced security threats in the southeastern part of the country from militants seeking to disrupt oil production as well as from Biafran secessionists. His administration's war on corruption was both praised for its progress and criticized for focusing more on political opponents and on allies. Throughout this period, Buhari's health and hence his ability to lead Nigeria were called into questions after he repeatedly went abroad for health care. In 2017 alone, he left the country multiple times for treatment of an undisclosed medical ailment. That year, he was absent more than 5 months altogether, during which time his vice president was in charge. The lack of transparency regarding Buhari's health and his extended absence led to rumors that he had died and been replaced by a body double. Buhari and his administration dismissed the concerns about his health and he was named the APC candidate for the February 2019 presidential election. Buhari faced more than 70 challengers in the election, which was originally scheduled to be held on February 16 but was delayed at the last minute until February 23. He emerged victorious, winning the election with some 56% of the vote. Source: Britannica. Wednesday, December 17, 1941, Chuba Wilberforce Okadibo, academic and politician, was born in Ogbunike, Oyi, Anambra State. He was Senate President 1999 to 2000, December 17, 1941 to September 25, 2003. Chuba Wilberforce Okadibo, a Nigerian politician, writer, philosopher and political scientist, was born on December 17, 1941 in Asaba Delta State. He passed away from respiratory issue in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, just a day after campaigning in Kano State, Nigeria. Chuba Okadibo hailed from Umueri Ogbunike, a town in the Oyi local government area of Anambra State. He earned a master's degree in political science from the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C. and subsequently obtained 2 doctoral degrees in philosophy and political science. By the age of 34, Chuba has served as an assistant professor and later as an adjunct associate professor of philosophy at the University of District of Columbia. He also held the position of adjunct assistant professor of politics at both the Catholic University of America and Howard University. As a member of Constituent Assembly, Chuba played a pivotal role in ushering in the Second Republic under President Shehu Shagari in 1979. At the age of 37, he was appointed as the political advisor and strategist to President Shehu Shagari. In 1992 Nigerian parliamentary elections, Chuba was elected to the Senate of the Third Republic, representing the Anambra North Senatorial District on the platform of the Social Democratic Party of Nigeria. He was also a member of the People's Democratic Movement during General Abacha's transition program. With the down of the Fourth Republic, he was again elected to the National Assembly for Anambra North and was considered a favorite to become Senate President at the start of the new democratic government. Chuba eventually became President of the Nigerian Senate following the impeachment of Evan Ewerem due to corrupt practices. On June 2, 2000, police laid siege to his official residence in an operation aimed at seizing the Senate maze from him, but ultimately failed. Later that year, he was falsely charged with corruption and impeached, resulting in his demotion from Senate President to Senator. In 2002, Chuba Okadibo became Muhammadu Buhari's running mate in the 2003 presidential elections, which they lost to the People's Democratic Party's candidate Olusegun Obasanjo. Source: Nigeria Today in History. Follow for more. December 17, 2024.